Good morning and welcome to our service today. Hopefully you enjoyed the service last week. I wasn't here, but I did manage to watch it on the video and enjoyed the little bit of chaos that you had following your leader. Did you enjoy it last week? Yes. So hopefully we've got more fun activities for us to do this week as well, so that we can start to explore a few different things. First thing though, we're going to start off with a couple of items of praise. So there's two songs. I'm going to disappear over there to play the flute, so don't worry that I've disappeared. But if you can stay standing for both songs. And the second song is My Great Big God, and the youngsters should know all the actions for them. So adults, if in doubt, find a youngster to watch and they can show you the actions. But shall we stand?
Come Good morning. Now, we are going to start today by making your minds work a little bit. I've got a quiz for you, and it's a listening quiz. We want to see how well you can listen and recognise some voices that are hopefully familiar to you. Now, it is going to take a bit of teamwork. It's definitely a multi-generational quiz. So if you're sitting in a row that you think isn't very mixed, you might want to team up with a row in front or behind or next to you as you go through it. But what's going to happen is I'm going to play a clip, and it will have a little voice in it. And I want to see if you can write down on your piece of paper with your pens the voices. There are 8 clips to guess. I'll let you get your paper and pen ready. Okay. Now, technology failed me this morning, so I'm going to try and play these through my phone onto the microphone. And the test this morning showed that it does work. So, are we ready for the first one?
They could easily collect these leaves from the trees themselves, but they seem to choose to take them from the hand of a human being.
That was clip number 1. Can we write down the name? Okay. Ready for number 2?
I can't just talk about myself. I'm only part of the amazing materials.
I'll play again, it was quite short.
I can't just talk about myself. I'm only part of the amazing materials.
Quite a recent voice. Oh. Okay, next one. That was number 3. Okay, number 4 is somebody who we hear on the radio quite often.
Every time you come around, you know I can't say no. Every time the sun goes down, I let you take control.
Hannah was very quick with the pencil there. Okay, a bit of a blast from the past.
Philippa, New York City is nicknamed the Big What?
Apple.
Correct, Victor.
I'll play it again.
Philippa, New York City is nicknamed the Big What?
Apple.
Correct, Victor.
Okay. Now, this voice is tricky because it's changed over the years, and it was really hard for me to decide which voice was best to play for the church. But maybe think about what he's talking about, and that'll help you work out who it is. Okay?
Maybe last night's rainstorm had something to do with it. We won't know for sure till we've dug out all the rubble. Stretch, could you come over here, please? Carefully. Can I have a look too?
So someone who's fixing things and digging out, and he's working with Stretch. Okay. Are we ready for question 7?
This looks great. Well done, lad. All right, time to get back to cooking. Where's the grill?
Do that one again. We ready?
This place looks great. Well done, lad. All right, time to get back to cooking. Where's the grill?
Someone who gives praise but then makes sure all the work is done and works the main character really, really hard. Okay, last one. Hopefully lots of people will get this one. Are we ready?
Where are the brakes? Give me that hammer.
No, it's not the main character though. Who is it? Somebody very important.
Where are the brakes? Give me that hammer.
Okay. A few confident faces, a few people still looking quite puzzled. Let's go through them and see how many we got out of 8. So the first one we have was this one.
They could easily collect these leaves from the trees themselves, but they seem to choose to take them from the hand of a human.
Who did we go for? David Attenborough, well done. Lots of people getting that one right. Okay.
Plus, I can't just talk about myself. I'm only part of the amazing material.
Did we get who it was? What about the movie? Encanto movie. Who is it? Mirabelle. Yeah, Mirabelle from Encanto. Okay. The next one.
Order! 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 Order!
Who do we think it is? John Burko, yeah. So we don't hear his voice as much, but we used to hear it quite a lot, repeating those words. Okay. And on our radios?
Every time you come around, you know I can't say no.
There's 2 hands that are getting all of these right. It's very impressive. Who was the singer? Ed Sheeran, yeah. On our radios, lots and lots. Okay then.
New York City is nicknamed the Big What?
Apple.
Correct, Victor.
Daytime quiz show presenter. Maybe if I'd played our catchphrase at the end, we would have got a few more hands going up. Who did we go for? Anne Robinson, yeah. Very scary.
This rainstorm had something to do with it. We won't know for sure till we've dug out all the rubble. Stretch, could you come over here, please? Carefully.
So who builds and works with Stretch? And lots of other vehicles and diggers. Bob the Builder, yep. Definitely a voice that has changed over the years, but that was Bob. Okay, now then, the boss.
This place looks great. Well done, lad. All right, time to get back to cooking. Where's the grill?
Who is that? Mr. Krabs. And who's Mr. Krabs from? What show's he from? SpongeBob, yeah, he's always telling SpongeBob what to do. Okay, and the last one then.
Where are the brakes? Give me that hammer.
Who was in control in that clip? Who do we think it is? Mummy Pig from Peppa. Mummy Pig. Okay, count up your marks then. Did we get anybody that managed to get full marks? No, above 6. Well done. What about half marks, 4 or more? Oh, a few people getting half marks. Well done. Okay. What we were looking at there was actually some voices are easier to recognise than others. And there are voices that maybe you've heard lots and lots because you've watched that programme many times or you've been around that person, but there are other voices that we've not heard as often.
Are we singing now? We're not singing now, or are we singing a song now? No. Right, well, there seemed to be mixed success there on this listening, but it just goes to prove that we've really got to try when we're listening. So now we're going to be thinking about the ways in which we can recognise and listen to the voice of Jesus, someone who should be prominent in our lives, that we should perhaps be hearing as much as we've heard these people, if not more. We've already been looking at the Jesus's I ams over the weeks, and today's I am from Jesus is I am the Good Shepherd. I don't know about you, but I'm absolutely fascinated when I watch the sheep. We used to have sheep in the field across from us, and watching the shepherd with these sheep used to make me feel quite jealous because my children were not listening to me as the sheep seemed to be listening to the shepherd. And they seem to have such a good relationship between shepherd and the sheep that they almost seem to hang on the shepherd's every word. They obviously recognized his sounds and the movements that he made. So we're going to be looking at how we can be good sheep for our good shepherd. They seem to have such a strong bond that we're going to be looking at how we can create that. And it's not just about recognizing the voice, it's knowing when it comes, where it is. It might not be the same as the voice that you hear. We can find it in different places, but it's also listening carefully. In those questions there, I sometimes didn't recognize the voice, but the clue of what they were talking about told me who it was. So the children are going to go through and they're going to be looking at the idea of the Good Shepherd, as well as listening to voices. If you are 10 or over, or around about that age, we'd kind of like you to stay in here because we've got something special on for there. But if you're younger than that, you can go through and then we'll see you when you get back. All right then?
Okay, so that's if you're younger than 10 years old, you can go next door and you're going to do an activity and you're going to bring something back through to show us towards the end of the service.
Is it okay I can stay here because I wanted to learn Hannah?
You can stay in if you want, Kieran. And we're going to join together in another item of praise. We're going to sing Give Thanks to the Lord. So if you want to stand, and I'll...
He is good, he is above all things.
Sorry, I feel like I'm a bit all over the place this morning. I've had a bit of a nightmare. You'll have to just bear with me this morning. I don't have a printer in my house, and the people who do have printers, they also weren't working this morning. So I am going to have to use my phone. I'm not being one of those rude younger people, but so that I don't just go off on a tangent and say whatever I want, I am going to have to use my phone to keep me on track. So, I don't know about you, have you had a nice summer? Having a nice summer? As a teacher, I've got 7 weeks off. It has been lovely. I've been busy. A few years ago, my partner and I bought a camper van. And, well, the holidays are easy. We just pack up the van and off we go. So this year, again, we decided to travel back up to kind of just below Liverpool. It's where we went last year. So we thought we'll go back up there, mainly because I like to walk Munros. And there was some up there that just got the better of us last year, and I wanted to go up and finish that area off. So we packed the van and off we went up to Liverpool. So we did 4 days walking, so that I don't know if anyone's on Walk Highlands, but there's a map that you tick them off on and they turn from red to blue. So I was like, I can get a nice blue section in there. And we went walking for 4 days. I didn't think I would make it past 2 days walking, but we managed a whole 4 days walking. And it was on our third day that we went back to the section of Munros that we had started last year, a group of them called the Fanics. So there's 9, it's a collection of 9 of them. We'd managed to do 7 of them last year. So there was 2 of them that we decided to go out and do. So this was on day 3. So there we were, soggy boots back on, because if you've ever been up there, it is the boggiest part of Scotland that I've found so far. So walking boots, nice and soggy. Backpacks with water. I had about 3 litres of water with me and a bottle of Lucozade. Food, because I like a snack. Don't know about anybody else, but I walk for about an hour and then I like a snack. And me, being a good girl guide, had everything else in case there was a what if. So in my bag, I have got the first aid kit, I've got the emergency sleeping bags, things like that, things that I haven't ever used, but they always go in my bag just in case. Usually, I also like to take my jet boil. I'm a bit bougie. I like a wee cup of coffee when I'm at the top of a hill. But it was so hot that I was like, I'm not carrying it, nah. So that got left in the van. So day 3, I was like, right, so had the walking poles out as well. You'd have thought I'd packed everything plus the kitchen sink. So off we start, and through the bog we go, and we're starting to make our way up. And we're a wee bit up, and when we look behind us, we can see that somebody else has started on their journey up the hill as well. I'm quite a slow walker. I knew they were probably going to catch me. But when you looked back, there was also 4 dogs with this person. So straight away, I'm going, oh, that's a farmer. Dave, that's a farmer. And he's going, maybe it's not, it's just somebody. I said, no, it's a farmer. Look at how those dogs are behaving. And they were wonderful. They would go out for a wee bit, and then they would stop, and they would come right back. My dog does not behave like that. It's not a sheepdog. So Dave walks a bit faster than me, so he had gone up a bit, and I was just kind of plodding along. And farmer caught up with me. The dogs did, first of all. One was a really young pup. He was dead excited. Lay over straight away for a wee belly rub. Beautiful. And I got talking with the farmer. And I was just like, what are you out doing? He's like, oh, I'm just out looking for my sheep. He literally had a crook and a pair of binoculars. So here's me with my backpack with everything but the kitchen sink, and he's got a pair of binoculars and a crook and 4 dogs. So down another valley was where he had all his sheep. So he says, I've got about 300 sheep down in that other valley there, but there's about 20 missing. So I'm out looking for them. It wasn't a planned trip for him to be out on that hill, but he knew he had out of 300 sheep, I'd have just been like, there's about 300. But no, he knew that there was about 20 missing. And he knew where they were. He knew that they would be up over these hills somewhere. So we were just chatting a bit backwards and forwards, and I said, oh, do you find it a bit of a pain coming out? And this was the bit that really struck me. He said, no, I actually really enjoy it when a few of them go missing, when I have to go out and find a few of them. And that really, really struck me, that it wasn't a chore for this man to go out with nothing but his binoculars and his crook and his 4 dogs to go and find some sheep that were missing. They were so important to him that he just went out there and he did that. We parted ways. Dave had found a shaded space for us to have snack number 1 of the day. So I went off to the side, and later on we met him again. And I said, any luck finding your sheep? And he said, no, not yet. But I did make sure I took a photo to send my wife to prove that I was up here. Hadn't found his sheep yet, but also wasn't disheartened in that, was still cheery, had kept on going. Later on, when we were coming off the hill, he was actually still out there, but somebody else was with him, so I think somebody had probably brought him supplies. But a long day, a long, long day that this farmer had been out there on the hills with very little shade in a summer heat, looking for sheep and not grumbling about it at all. And then we come to what we are talking about today, where Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. And for me, there was just something special. I knew that I was doing this talk before I went up to those hills. And there was something for me that meeting this farmer doing that actually made me stop for a minute and be, wow. God almost deliberately put him in my way to make me stop and think about this passage, to make me stop and think, Jesus is our shepherd. It doesn't matter how often we wander off or how far we wander off. He graciously and happily spends his time coming to find us where we are. Not waiting for us to wake our way back, but actually comes out to find us. And that's incredible. For me, there's a real sense of love and sacrifice that is there, laid down time and time again for us. I'm just going to read the passage because there was another bit that kind of jumped out to me as I was kind of preparing for this morning. So it's John 10, it's verses 14 to 18. And it says, I am the good shepherd. As the Father knows me, and I know the Father, in the same way I know my sheep, and they know me, and I am willing to die for them. There are other sheep which belong to me that are not in this sheep pen. I must bring them too. They will listen to my voice, and they will become one flock with one shepherd. The Father loves me because I am willing to give up my life in order that I may receive it back again. No one takes my life away from me. I give it up of my own free will. I have the right to give it up, and I have the right to take it back. This is what my Father has commanded me to do. I don't know if you caught on to the same words that kind of caught me, but there was that sense of they will listen to my voice. And as I was preparing for this morning, that was a second moment where, for me, I had to stop and take a minute. And it was a different minute from the awe and wonder of how big his love is for me. But it was a minute to actually think about my faith, my journey with Jesus. And I found myself questioning, how often do I listen for Jesus' voice? When do I spend time seeking it? And I actually found myself very challenged by those questions. And that's questions I would like you to think about as well and kind of challenge yourself thinking about. But how often do we, people as Christians, as followers of Jesus, how often do we spend seeking his voice and listening for his voice? How often do we stop and do that? Now, I would like to invite two people up to help hear a bit of their story, a bit of what they think about this, to help us think about it a bit further before we go on and do a little bit of a reflection. So I would like to ask Chris and Hannah to come and join me up here. Okay, Hannah, you can have this microphone. We'll move it down for you. Yeah. Shannon, you'll need to remember to move it back up because I will forget. Okay, I'll need to find my questions. Okay, so this morning I spoke a bit about what I like to do when I'm on holiday. I like to go hill walking, and I saw a shepherd, well, a farmer. So what do you like to do when you're on holiday?
You go first, Sam.
Okay. I like going sightseeing and trying different foods.
Sightseeing and trying different foods. What's the best thing you've done, best thing you've seen, your favourite thing you've seen?
Well, yesterday I went to Birmingham for 2 days and I loved seeing the festivals that was going on there, and the beach volleyball was really good fun.
Excellent. So you went down to the Commonwealth Games. I went to the Commonwealth Games as well. I went to see the hockey. So yeah, so you enjoy going places and seeing new things. Okay, what about Dad? What does he like to do when he's on holiday?
Well, I'm a bit like you. I like to go on a walk, but probably not for 4 days, and explore new places, just be absorbed kind of in the nature and the culture, and see the world from a different lens.
Yeah. So, what do you think you... Oh, that's not even a what question, it's a do you question. Do you think you would like to be a shepherd? And what would make you say yes or no to it?
No, because I don't like sheep.
Fair enough. Nobody really wants to work with things they don't like. Chris?
Yeah, her answer's much funnier than mine, so that's why it's great to have her here. I think I'd like to be a shepherd, but then on reflection, when I try lead a small family of 4 plus a dog, I think that's hard enough. So to be responsible for 300 plus sheep, that would be quite a challenge. But then you said, what would maybe make me become a shepherd or not? And I think as long as I had a warm bed at the end of the night, I would probably say yes. So, yeah, that was my answer.
So as long as there was a nice cosy bed to return to, you could go out and look after the sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that.
Says a lot. He likes just his comfort, just his bed.
That's all I want.
So I've said a wee bit about how Jesus is like a shepherd. So what have you come up with in thinking about how Jesus is like a shepherd?
I think he looks out for people rather than sheep.
Yeah. So he looks after people. So it's not sheep that he looks after, but his people. Yeah.
And I put Jesus is like a shepherd because he would have been followed by many people and helped them to feel part of the flock, irrespective of who they are, what they look like or where they come from. And he also would have made sure that his flock were well protected from wolves or other animals and taught them about the right path to follow.
Yeah. So there's more than just kind of going out and looking, but actually the sheep follow a shepherd, and we're there following Jesus as well. Okay, last question, Hannah. You're doing really well. Well done. So one of the things Jesus says is that his sheep listen to his voice. In what ways would you say you listen out for what Jesus is saying to you?
I didn't really get around to that question.
Didn't really get around to that question. It's a really hard question, isn't it? Yeah, especially at your age, not even at your age. I think a lot of people out here as well will say that they find that a tricky question as well. But we really admire your honesty in saying that. So well done.
And I was of the similar. I find this really hard to do. And I only really do this when times are tough, which is silly, of course, because I know that he's always there to listen, even in the good times, as well as the bad. I used to spend a bit of my time reflecting and listening to his word when I commuted to work, which was usually on my bike. I kind of spent a bit of time, listening out there, but I don't do that as often now, to have this kind of special time, as I put it. So, I find it hard, but obviously during Sunday service, listening out for his voice and deeper reflection and absorption in my faith. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can we give them a round of applause? I'll do that just now. That was me getting the direction to put the microphone back up for Shannon. Is it nice to hear some other people's stories about their faith journeys and that encouragement in our own as we do that? Now, you'll have noticed in front of you there is some pieces of wool. Okay, so I'm going to ask all of you to pick up a piece of wool. The band might need to, let's sort you out. You got one, Rylan? Pass one over, good. Now, the intelligent people among us will know where wool comes from, and that is what we are going to be using to do our reflection. Part of that listening out for Jesus, we thought it'd be really important to actually spend a little bit of time in reflection, listening out for Jesus' voice. So I'm going to ask you to hold your piece of, we're going to call it yarn because that's what Matt Reflection says. I'm just going to ask you to close your eyes. The yarn you hold in your hands was once the coat of a sheep, perhaps a blackface, merino, or rambouillet, blue-faced Leicester or Corriedale. A wonder of life, protecting them from the harsh conditions that life itself throws at them. Take a moment to imagine what the wool in your yarn has been through. Wind whistling through the hills. Rain lashing down. Snow falling. Ice crystals on the edges of the fleece. Yet, deep down, protected from all of this, the warm body of the sheep, kept alive by the wool you now hold. And caring for that flock, overseeing and tending, watching out and seeking out, the shepherd, diligent, careful, ready. Into the piece of yarn you hold, imbue all that pains you today, all the struggles and griefs, the worries and concerns, and let them be taken up into that fibre that has already seen so much that is harsh and difficult. Every time you come across your yarn, remember the words of the Good Shepherd. The Good Shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Amen. We're just going to watch a reflection on the screen just now. So, Chris, do you want to take us on?
The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want. He makes me lie in pastures green. He leads me by the still, still waters. His goodness restores my soul. And I will trust in you. And I will trust in you alone. For your endless mercy follows me. Your goodness will lead me home. He guides my ways in righteousness, and He anoints my head with oil, and my cup it overflows with joy. I feast on His pure delights, and I will trust in you. And I will trust in you alone. For your endless mercy follows me. Your goodness will lead me home. And though I walk the darkest path, I will not fear the evil one. For you are with me, and your rod and staff are the comfort I need to know. And I will trust in you. And I will trust in you alone. For your endless mercy follows me. Your goodness will lead me home. And I will trust, and I will trust in you alone. And I will trust in you alone. For your endless mercy follows me. Your goodness will lead me home. For your endless mercy. For your endless mercy follows me. Your goodness will lead me
time built into our Sunday morning to allow us to stop and to listen to the voice of our shepherd. We are going to join together in another item of praise. It is Goodness of God. It is a new song. We have heard it a few times. Sharon has sang it quite a few times for us. But this week we are going to stand and we're going to join in with her. So shall we stand?
Right then, children, could you bring your sheet back up here again just now? Because not everybody's been able to see them. Bring them back. Let's be having a look. Because it might fall over. All right, so you can see what they've been doing. They've been making sheep, haven't you? And were you listening carefully? Did you listen carefully to Caroline? good. She's nodding her head. You must have listened very carefully. Okay. So, what did you bring through, Fern? What's that you're showing there? What's that? All right, Thomas? Okay, you got me a bit fright. He's fright. That's good. Right, so you made a big sheep, and do you know what you're going to do with that sheep? We're going to ask all the adults here to come up too. So the children have been making a sheep, and they've been listening about... Well, you, Daddy, would love that one as well. You can give it to Daddy, but when we maybe save it for him. You want to save it for him? Put it up there for him. Okay. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we would like you to do this now during the final hymn to show that everybody can be a sheep of God. We're all God's sheep, all here for Jesus to listen to him. So as a sign of that, we're going to ask you, if you would like to, or if you can, to come up during the final hymn and add a cotton wool ball to give the fleece a little bit more fleece to this sheep. If you feel that it'd be better for you to wait until after the service, it'll still be here for on the way round, so if it's easier for you to move up later on. But if you could, it'd be nice for the children. Yeah, I know. Super. You could maybe help to get them on there. So during the final hymn, which Laura's going to come and tell you about. Okay. Come on up, let's go.
In the passage, we heard Jesus talking about how we will become one flock. And this sheep here represents that one flock. And each of the bits of cotton wool represents the people in that flock. So we're just asking to, just as for yourself, just as that I want to be part of that flock. I want to be part of that. Something bigger. I want to follow Jesus. Then the cotton wool's down here, the glue is down here, and you can add your bit of cotton wool to our sheep. We're going to join together and sing one last song together. It is Jesus and Me. That's the best combination. Shall we stand? Not the longest song for you to get up and get your bit of wool joined onto our sheep, but it's not going anywhere. So as we leave, we will be able to come and add your piece of wool if you haven't done so already. But shall we pray just to finish our service? Jesus, we thank you that you are the Good Shepherd, that you look out for us, that you come looking for us when we wander off, that you protect us. We ask you to help us to listen more to your voice as we come together to be one flock with you as our shepherd. Amen. There is tea and coffee through in the hall for us to share and enjoy for a little bit longer.